on the Southern Farming Muster. We are off to catch up with Anna Irwin from DairyNZ. She is their Animal Husbandry Extension Specialist. I can read that off the bottom of the email she sent me. So, Anna, welcome to the Southern Farming Muster.
Oh, great to be back on here. Thanks, Phil.
Well, good. And if you're in charge of the weather, well done today as well. A bit coolish this morning, but it's a cracking day now.
It's stunning, isn't it? I've just had a colleague arrive from Canterbury and you can't believe it. So, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, just what we want. Well, I suppose at this time of year, most of the cows have had calves and we're thinking about getting them back in calf again. So, wow, it's been a busy time. Do you get a chance to have a break with the farm team or not?
Oh, it's such a great idea, and I know it seems perhaps a little luxurious because it's still busy, but I think it's really important that people just have a bit of a breather. If possible, get a release milker and have an extra day off. And maybe a little bit of a pat on the back, a post-calving barbecue or something. And, we've got nice weather, so why not?
Yeah, and I suppose then we've really got to make sure it's pretty hard to get a cow and calf if she's not in good nick, and there's a whole lot of things. But what's some of the things we need to check out on the cows?
Yeah, so just let's make sure that their overall health is not going to hinder them getting back in calf. So perhaps some blood and liver biopsies to check the trace elements. Have a wee check of what's happened. They will have lost weight, and that's fine. But there might be a few that might need some, extra special care if they've lost considerable weight. And then let's prevent other things that are going to stop them getting in calf. So, lame cows don't get in calf, so we really need to be on top of that too.
Yep, and we talked to Morgan Green on Monday about MetraCheck and MetraCure, so making sure that the reproductive system's all ready to go, that's a key one as well.
Yeah, Morgan's right onto it, so have that sorted out too.
Yeah, and I suppose we before calving, we make sure the calf shed's all clean and tidy and ready to go. Before we put calves back into cows, we've got to make sure the facilities around the shed are good to go as well.
Yeah, it seems a little bit obvious, but pretty hard to draft out cows if their ear tags are really filthy. If we didn't do that just before calving, if we ran out of time, making sure our recording system and whiteboard's all good to go. And I know that the AB techs, of course, really appreciate having good facilities there for their job too. Yeah.
And I suppose this is something the bulls are really, really good at, but because of AB, we have to be good at it ourselves, and that's detecting actually which cows are on heat.
Yeah, it sounds so obvious, doesn't it? But if we don't detect them on heat, they're not going to get pregnant to artificial insemination. In the main, research shows that unfortunately heat detection errors are really limiting reproduction on at least a quarter of our farms. So we might think we're good at it, but we do need to make sure the whole team is good at it as well.
Right. So I assume you have got people who are absolute crackerjacks at it, but are some people really hopeless at it?
Yeah, and it's really understanding why. Like, they need to know why they're detecting heat, but also we can get some really eager beavers that make up heats. So there's two things that go wrong. We just either don't see our cows on heat or don't record it and draft them, or we kind of invent heats and, the first cow that looks sideways at anything, we draft her out and put her up, and this can really interfere with your conception rates. They're not truly on heat, so we do need to be pretty switched on at pulling them out.
Yeah, so I suppose if they're not on heat, the AB technician might know what they're doing, but it's never going to work.
That's right, yeah, and they will often tell you, look, she's just not ready to go, keep an eye on her for tomorrow, and this again is where our recording systems come in. So if you're not sure, still have your farm policy, but put a question mark beside it in your little book or whatever you're doing, so that you know if there's a sort of a funny return or something, then that was the reason why.
Right. So in terms of training your staff to get it right, what's some of the things you need to know for a start?
Cool. So they need to know just basically what happens in physiology. So every 18 to 24 days, but on average every 21 days or 3 weeks, they come on heat. So that's useful to know. That they're only on heat for, less than 24 hours. And for young stock, it's even more minimal. So if we miss that opportunity, that we've got, it takes an extra 3 weeks, but really it takes 2 years to recover from that. So stressing the importance of why we need to do it is the first one. But then secondly, get them out in paddock, have a bit of fun out in the paddock and observing cows, especially on a nice day like today. You're looking for the obvious signs of on heat. So the first one is that they will stand and allow other cows to mount them. And then the second one is if we use any things to aid us, such as tail paint or heat detectors, if they've been rubbed off or triggered. So that's your two that you can be pretty sure that she's cycling or on heat. But there are also a lot of more sort of subtle things to look out for. So she might be restless, have mucus coming out, mud marks on the flank, maybe mounting other cows. So there are a couple of other things to look out for too.
Right, and I think the guys that have the pedometers on the cows, isn't it? They're warmer or they walk further or something when they're on heat as well, and they pick them up that way.
Yeah, they definitely walk further. They're restless and pacing around. They might change their order that they come into the shed or want to be milked. So, they're acting quite peculiar. And if a good stockman will pick up those sorts of things, and that's what we need to be really installing in our new guys coming through to the industry.
Right. So we've talked about some heat detection aids. Well, how do they work, or are there certain animals you should be trying them out on?
Yeah, so every farm will have a different policy, of course. The most common one is good old tail paint, and our cows are looking very multicoloured at this time of year with paint on the backs of their tails. So this needs to be topped up and kept good so that we can, when it's rubbed off, it's really obvious. But there are also a lot of stick-on detectors, and I won't mention any brands because there's lots of different ones out there that talk to your company about them. Some of them, a little bit of ink kind of sets off and it goes red. Other ones just scratch as they're mounted. Some people will use this later on in the AB period when they're perhaps getting a little bit tired of topping up tail paint because it is, it's pretty intensive. You do get fatigued from doing it, and others use it on your younger cows. These younger cows, your heifers, might not be on heat for quite as long and as many times in that 24-hour period. So we need everything we can to help us find those heats.
Yep, and I suppose also making sure you record them and draft them off accurately. If you miss one, it's a bit challenging to go and get her back out of the paddock again.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it seems really obvious. We found it, yay, but if we don't record it and do anything about it, then it's a missed opportunity.
Right, so non-cycling cows, there's always going to be a few who aren't doing that. What should we be doing about those?
Yes, there are going to be a few, and they're typically your later calving cows. Also, make sure their overall health, just like the main ones, is good. But really, it's about having a plan and talking through with your farm advisor or vet to treat them early. So the best return on investment and best reproductive results are if we get in and do this early, either before planned starter mating or very early on.
Right, and in terms of the heifers, what should we be thinking about with those guys?
Yeah, so let's just see how they are. They might not be right in front of you, so check them out. All the same things as cows, trace elements, etc. If you're thinking about ABing them, you really need to get on and book in your AB check for starters, obviously, but also the vet if you're going to do any synchronising or intervening there.
Yep. Oh, well, heaps of stuff to do. We could have that barbecue and then plenty of stuff to get on with after that.
Gosh, yeah, it's a really, really busy time, and so good luck for everybody out there to get their cows back in calf.
Now, I suppose you have to remember it is next year's production you're getting set up for already, so you've got to get it right.
That's it.
That is wonderful. Anna, thanks for your time on the Southern Farming Muster. We'll catch up with one of the team from DairyNZ next Thursday.
Always a pleasure.